What's up, guys? It's HEAD back with another video. That's right, another Raw review for October 12th, Chicago. And a lot went down on Raw. A very average-ish Raw, but I'll get to that later on. First of all, before I kick this off, guys, I want to say a huge thank you. Last week's Raw, October 5th, I did a Raw review for October 5th's Raw last week. I did it exactly the same thing that I'm doing now. And then I put it up. Yes, I got the likes. Yes, I got the dislikes. But something incredible happened. 5,000 views within 1 week. In the space of 24 hours, it got over 1,000 views. Guys, that's incredible. And that comes from you. Because you... whether you agree or disagree with my opinions, that's up to you, and that's your jurisdiction. But the fact that it got that many views in the space of 24 hours is just flat out incredible, and that is all down to you and me. I thank you for that, no doubt. Just incredible. It's now over 5,000 views as I'm doing this right now, and it's going to keep on growing. And like I say, guys, I can't thank you guys enough for it. But anyway, on to the main talking point and the main business. Raw. October 12th, Chicago, which kicked off with Kane being left in charge because the Authority were running late, although they didn't end up on the show. And Kane made a main event. Kane versus Seth Rollins. Now, throughout the night, you saw these phone calls that he was having with the Authority, and the Authority seemed to be having problems. What problems they were, what problems were they, we don't know. But they were having issues, and Kane was in charge. And all these phone calls that they were having, and Kane saying, just fine, it was okay, no problem. Which obviously, he made a lumberjack match between him and Seth Rollins, corporate Kane and Seth Rollins. But WWE and Triple H, that is, eventually found out and ordered corporate Kane not to have this match and not go out there. But that was a mistake, because when there's no corporate Kane, there's the Demon Kane. And Kane let Seth know that he wasn't going to go out and face Corporate Kane wasn't going to go out and face Seth Rollins in the lumberjack match. However, they didn't say anything about the Demon Kane. And the Demon Kane went out and basically kicked ass. That was until he ran into a knockout punch from the Big Show, in which everything went on from there, basically. And then, for some strange reason, New Day, got into it and pulled out Kane, and everybody started beating up Kane, and this melee ensued on the outside. And then as they all got back in the ring, everybody got back in the ring, all the heels got back in the ring and proceeded to beat up Kane. And then New Day started ordering traffic, and then Big E goes for the splash, but as he's about to splash him, he bounces off the ropes, and Kane's set up. And Big E's face was priceless. And then all hell broke loose, and then eventually Kane ended up winning the match with a tombstone. Now, the thing is this. Because he's won that match on Raw, does that mean he's going to lose the match at Hell in the Cell? Because he's facing Seth Rollins for the world title at Hell in the Cell. To be honest, as much as I would like to see Seth Rollins drop the belt, yes, he's going to lose. And I hope he does lose, because I'm done with Corporate Kane. I want the Demon Kane back full time. I want this Corporate Kane to end. He's the DOO of WWE, Director of Operations of the Authority, whatever the Authority is, to be honest with you now, because there's only 3 people in the Authority with Kane, and that's Seth, Triple H, and Stephanie. No Jamie Noble, no Joey Mercury. It's just basically them 3 left. So we all know the Authority is dying a slow, painful death. Hopefully it'll all end at Hell in the Cell, and Seth will beat Kane and no more corporate Kane and Seth Rollins, and Demon Kane is back full time. Right, to the other main talking point of Raw, which involved two things: Rusev and Dolph Ziggler. Now, let's get to the match, the US Open Challenge with Dolph Ziggler and Cena. Now, these two had a great match. Dolph Ziggler obviously got his match that he was supposed to have last week until New Day ruined it. And Dolph Ziggler and, to be honest with you, John Cena, this was the best match on Raw. This was the most, the standout match on Raw, the standout thing on Raw, in my opinion. And these two had an epic match. Will these two have an epic feud? Because there's all this talk about these two having a feud based off what happened on Total Divas. What a surprise. Total Divas is involved again. But these two having the match because Dolph hit on, flirted with Nikki Bella while John was out the ringside, and one thing led to another. But Hope and WWE are planning to do a feud off that. Well, from what I read anyway. Will they do it? I don't know. But, lots of counters, lots of incredible counters from Dolph, and even incredible counters from John Cena. Question is, who is Cena going to lose this US title to? Because if you believe what you read, he plans on taking 6 weeks off after Hell in the Cell from October 26th onwards. So I'm gathering he's going to lose the US title at Hell in the Cell. Maybe he wants to maybe he should put the belt on Dolph Ziggler. Put the belt on Dolph. That's what I like to see. If you can't have it, John, and you've done incredible with it, if you can't have it, put the belt on him. Put the belt on Ziggler instead. Give Ziggler that belt because he needs something to bounce back off the Lana thing. Speaking of Lana, Rusev came out and faced Ryback. Now, Ryback is warming up for his match with Kevin Owens at Hell in the Cell. However, Rusev, as you go back to last week and the proposal, and I use that term loosely because, in my opinion, it was the most god-awful proposal I've ever seen in my life, from Summer Rae. And obviously, Rusev said if we have a future, he wants WWE gold around his waist. But that didn't work out, did it? Because Dolph Ziggler's been going through some issues, and now Summer Rae's been going through some issues because it broke over the weekend on TMZ that WWE stars Lana and Rusev are engaged to be married. And obviously, Summer Rae didn't take too kindly to that and laid into Rusev after the match and then walked away. Really? That whole thing was basically the downfall of whatever relationship was with Ziggler and now Rusev. Now, basically, them two made fools. Either them two or WWE made fools of Dolph Ziggler and Summer Rae, quite frankly. Either way, Lana says she's finished with Dolph, and now it's back to square one again. But will they come back together on WWE TV? I doubt it. Will Lana come back? All these plans of Lana being into the ring, maybe WWE have realized she's better off with Rusev. But at the end of the day, the whole thing was just stupidly done, in my opinion. And it made Ziggler, this whole angle that they were trying to do with Lana going with Dolph and then Summer Rae going with Rusev and whatever, it just made Dolph and Summer Rae look like complete fools. Question is, will Summer Rae and Dolph get together? We'll have to wait and see. Me personally, I don't care. Now, Raw kicked off with Dean Ambrose. And basically, he came out looking for a fight, quite frankly. He came out looking for a war. And he was going to get one until Randy Orton came out. And basically, these two wanted the Wyatts. I would imagine they wanted Braun Strowman or any member of the Wyatts, quite frankly. And we all know what happened with Randy Orton. He wants a piece of Brie himself, but he's going to have to wait until after Hell in the Cell, it seems. But as them two were arguing in the ring who was going to have the fun and who wasn't, New Day came out and spoiled the party a little bit. That led Kane to have a match, to book a match with New Day against Orton and Dean Ambrose. Now, everything was going well. New Day were dominant in the match. A good little tag team match, but everything seemed to go well. Dean Ambrose and Randy Orton were working together as a team. Dean Ambrose came in like a house on fire, dived on the New Day, and even dived on Xavier Woods at one point, and then tagged Orton back in. Orton came in, did his thing, the house on fire that he is, the slam, the DDT off the second rope and all that, did his thing, and then goes for an RKO, but a miscue. I think he went for an RKO on Kofi. Kofi pushes Orton right into Dean Ambrose, and then Kofi gets the roll up and gets the victory. And New Day get a cheap win. New Day's got all this momentum, and eventually they're going to end up losing it at Hell in the Cell. But what's going on with Orton and Dean Ambrose? Is there a thing going to start with them too? Obviously they're still back up to Roman Reigns in the Wyatt feud, so it's going to be interesting to see where it goes. But I beg WWE to put a belt on Dean Ambrose. I beg them. U.S. title, WWE, and a Continental Championship. I don't know. Hell, go for a world title. I don't care. But if there's anybody that needs a championship, it's Dean Ambrose. Even if it's a tag team title, go for it. Roman Reigns, Dean Ambrose, tag team champions. I'll be okay with that. Right. Divas. No, you know what? Before we go to the Divas matches, let's talk about the Dudleys, Ascension. This was obviously Dudley's warm-up for the Dudleys going into their match at Hell in the Cell with New Day. And they squashed the Ascension, or as they are known now as the members of Cosmic Wasteland. Just a good old-fashioned Dudley beatdown eventually, even though the Ascension attacked the Dudleys a la Road Warriors. Yes, these two are being dubbed as the modern-day Road Warriors, apparently, or the modern-day rip-off of the Road Warriors. I say just put the Ascension back on NXT, man. That's where they were dominant. That's where they were good. Longest reigning, from what I've gathered, the longest reigning NXT Tag Team Champions. Just put these two back on NXT, man. But Dudley boys get a bit of momentum going into their match at Hell in the Cell with the New Day. Now for the Divas. Let's talk about the Divas before we get into the other topic. Nikki Bella versus Naomi. Now, this match to me didn't mean anything, because this match was basically all about Sasha Banks. Because the crowd seemed to be feeding off the energy from NXT TakeOver, because before the match even started, everybody was shouting, "We want Sasha. We want Sasha." Everybody wanted Sasha Banks. They didn't care who was in the ring. They wanted Sasha Banks. Yes, Nikki Bella got the victory, whoop-de-doo. But everybody wanted Sasha Banks. And obviously Brie Bella, considering what happened in Brooklyn when Paige, Nikki Bella, and Brie Bella got on Twitter and verbally voiced their opinions towards the Brooklyn crowd for crapping on their match, Brie Bella stood on the announce table mocking the Chicago audience for shouting, "We want Sasha." And then Sasha Banks comes over and basically just grabs her leg and just sweeps it out from underneath her, and she takes a bump off the announce table on the arena floor, which I thought was funny as fuck. Mrs. Danielson, runs her mouth off, and obviously she pays the price. But yeah, Nikki Bella gets a little bit of momentum going into a match at Hell in the Cell, the rematch at Hell in the Cell with her and Charlotte. Speaking of Charlotte and Becky Lynch were in a tag team match later on against Team Bella, which was Brie and Alicia Fox. But they lost that match, and the only reason they lost that match was basically what happened on the outside involving, Natalia was at ringside helping out because Paige was sat at ringside and that. But like I said, the Divas matches didn't, make me think, wow. It was just basically Team Bella winning, and it wasn't, it wasn't impactful as, what happened at NXT TakeOver, the greatest match in women's wrestling history. Dare I say the greatest match in WWE's history as well. But it is what it is at the end of the day. Hopefully they can pick this up and end this all at the end of the day. Now, moving swiftly on from the Divas to Kevin Owens. Now, Kevin Owens is obviously preparing for his match with Ryback at Hell in a Cell for the Intercontinental Championship. And for the past 2 weeks, he's beat up the Lucha Dragons. Now, he tried to beat up Kalisto last week, as we all know, for the powerbomb. That was until Ryback saved the day. And now, this week, he went one-on-one with Kalisto and basically squashed him. I don't know what Kalisto was going for. Maybe a Hurricane Rana off the top rope, but Owens countered into a powerbomb and got the 1, 2, 3. Can he be this dominant against Ryback at Hell in a Cell? Who knows? But I think they need to keep the belt on Kevin Owens and keep this Intercontinental Championship run that he's got and just keep it there, basically. But if Ryback wins, don't be surprised, guys, because there's all this talk about, there's all this talk about Ryback winning. Ryback, Kevin Owens shouldn't, does not need to lose the title. Kevin Owens, should not lose the title to Ryback at Hell in a Cell, But that's the thing, though. Just because they won it at a previous pay-per-view doesn't mean to say a month later that he's going to lose it. There is a possibility that Ryback may win it back at Hell in a Cell. Me, personally, I hope not. But, look back what happened with Hogan back in the day. Hogan won the WWE title of Triple H, the Undisputed Championship. 1 month later, he lost at the Taker. It is what it is. So don't be surprised if Ryback wins at Hell in a Cell. But, everybody seems to be on even par now. Kevin Owens and Ryback seem to be on the even par. And momentum is with Kevin Owens, in my opinion. Now, Roman Reigns and Braun Strowman, and Roman beats him by countout, which the Wyatts were involved, but as far as mind games go, Roman Reigns won, quite frankly. And he won by a countout, which saw him Superman punching Braun Strowman, knocking him out over the ring. Over the announce table, rather, and getting a count-out victory, which wasn't too pleasing with the Wyatts. And then they tried to get back in, and obviously Roman was too quick, and he managed to get away. So, Mind Games 101 with Roman Reigns on Raw this week. Question is, will he be able to do that in a cell with Bray Wyatt? All we know is this is going to be a fight at Hell in a Cell, and I can't wait to see it. And I'm very much looking forward to Hell in a Cell, considering what I've got coming up before it. But I'm very much looking forward to Hell in a Cell. I'm very much looking forward to the Brock Lesnar Undertaker match as well. Now, speaking of Brock Lesnar Undertaker match, they hyped that up with a video package on Raw, which they'll more than likely end up playing before the actual match at the pay-per-view. Now, it went from Chapter 1, which was WrestleMania. Chapter 2, the controversy BS at SummerSlam. And then Chapter 3, which is going to be Hell in a Cell. I love the fact it didn't go all the way back to 2002 when these two first met at Survivor Series. They didn't bring that back into play. Because it would have been more meaningful if they did that. But no, they had to choose the two matches that they had, which was, the whole it comes over the 13-year rivalry of of this. These two have been going at it each other now for 13 years, a 13-year rivalry. Yet in the video package, they didn't mention the previous years that they've had, like the 2002 match at the Survivor Series, the Hell in the Cell bloodbath at No Mercy pay-per-view, you know, their first meeting in Hell in the Cell, you know, and all that. They didn't mention all that. They just mentioned the WrestleMania and the controversy at SummerSlam, which leads into what happens at October 25th at Hell in the Cell. You know, make it more meaningful. Add all that bit in there. Don't be afraid, man. And speaking of afraid, you know, and I don't know what you guys think of this, but I'm going to go into a little bit of a rant here. WWE seems, Michael Cole in particular, seems to have a problem honoring NXT. Now, WWE is WWE. Now, Kevin Owens has his match. Michael Owens always seems to point out that Kevin Owens' first match in WWE was against John Cena. So what does that make his run on NXT? Because technically his first match in WWE, because everybody knows NXT is a part of WWE, whether it wants to be or not, even though I think it's trying to branch out on its own, but everybody knows NXT is WWE. His first match was with CJ Parker. But Michael Cole seems to say that his first match in WWE was with John Cena. That wasn't until Byron Saxton put him in his place and mentioned NXT. You know, mentioned his NXT run. What is with WWE and not mentioning the NXT? I mean, I can understand you don't want to mention other companies like TNA and all that. But don't put NXT, and I'm talking about the main roster, particularly with Michael Cole, and don't make NXT, you know, TNA or other companies. NXT is your brand. Be proud of the history. Because let's tell you right now, NXT is the #1 brand in WWE. Period. You don't get anything better at the moment with it than NXT. Because NXT is well more entertaining, well more action-packed than Monday Night Raw and SmackDown combined. Sorry, it just is. Now, going back to the Raw review. I read a tweet on Twitter from Sid Vicious. He gave this 3.5. Now, he liked I would agree with him, but I don't know if I'd give it a 3.5. I would probably give it a 4. Because the only match on there that really got my attention was Dolph Ziggler and John Cena. But, I mean, the other stuff that went on there, I mean, most of it was predictable to me. And I want unpredictability, not predictability. But all in all, that's what I think of Monday Night Raw. And with that being said, guys, that is the end of all of this. That's the end of this video. Thank you so much for tuning in. Thank you so much for your support on my previous videos, especially last week as well. Tune in next week. I'll be back next week as we know it right now. I will be back next week with another Raw review. And be sure to check that out. And yes, guys, this will be going up on facebook.com/WM podcast. And the audio of this will be going up on on my Wrestling Madness podcast as well, which you can see on this very channel. But the only way you get to see all this stuff, guys, is if you subscribe to the Wrestling Madness channel. Because I'll be doing weekly videos. I do weekly podcasts. You know, and also check out, that's in the description right now, my new show that I'm doing, my new thing that I'm doing with Michael Larkin called Wrestling Unleashed, which is basically I go on his show, the S&M podcast, and I basically just talk about wrestling, which is what I do anyway. So with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. It has been an absolute pleasure. Like, subscribe, do all that good stuff. Just voice your opinions like you did last week. It is greatly appreciated, and that's what I want this channel to be about. So until next time, guys, my name is Anthony Walker saying thank you for watching, and I'll see you soon. Peace out.